this trip to Black Bear, to get cleaned up this last time was a big deal.
You'd been to rehab how many times before?
Four or five. I've been 4 or 5. Out of those 4 or 5, I didn't know what was wrong with me at all for 3 of them. Meaning I didn't know about my sleep apnea. And I had severe sleep apnea and didn't know it. So the 4th one, I took my actual CPAP with me. And if I would have listened and I would have been a little more ready, I probably could have got clean there. I probably could have, but I didn't. I came home. I was 20-something days clean. My sobriety date is August 27th of this year, so I'm clean 40-something days today.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it. And I'm not a big counter, but I know my sobriety date, bro. I do know that, and I'll never forget it. So that's a big day, August 27th. So I am, everybody decided it was just time for me to go, and it was time. It was time, so, I went.
But you have to be ready. I think that's the biggest thing. I've heard that from so many people.
Well, the main thing, and you're right, you do got to be ready. And that's what happened before. I just wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. And everybody, of course, wants to know why is this time different? Why is this time different, Mark? I mean, tell us what is so magical about you being clean this time when you said you've been clean, 3 or 4 times previously. This time, I had a lot on the line, man. I had a lot on the line, along with my age, along with my maturity, and I was ready. I was tired. I really was tired, man. I was tired, and I would have asked for help if I would have known really all about it, but I was just, so much was going on. I was still making a lot of money and trying to manage my life and trying to do all these things to keep going, but my life became unmanageable. I mean, I started seeing videos of myself that my friends were taking where I was in this position going, I mean, I've got to straighten my life out. I got to get going. At that level. So in my mind, even though I was blacked out right there, I was still thinking, come on, Mark, you've got to do something here, man. You got to kick out,
Yeah.
And so when they said, we're going to take you to, they told me, they came in on me, and said, look, it's time to go, man. You got
like an intervention?
Yeah, intervention style. And, Dallas led it, and Steve was there, and, my niece and everybody. So they ran an intervention on me, and they had every answer, bro. They had them. They were ready. And they were like, I said, what about the podcast? They're like, we got that covered. And I said, well, what about the dates? I got a bunch of dates, guys. We got it covered. And, but in the big book, of, alcohol, AA book, it says that, your life's become unmanageable. And my life had. It had become unmanageable. So my niece took over, and, that was the first step, was to get me there.
And this was after you had already done the docuseries with Dallas?
Yeah. So I came
Change or Die?
Yeah. I came into Change or Die and had gotten cleaned up. I'd really kicked out of my, I wasn't as bad as everybody thought, so to speak, and really had a handle on it more than people think. And I was really like, I was staying sober down there, but I was coming home on Thursdays. And my main drug of choice is benzos, which is most relaxers, Xanax, that kind of thing. Oh. And
did you mix that with alcohol?
I mixed it with alcohol, and alcohol. And I've been in trouble with alcohol several times, but never had an alcohol never had a DUI with alcohol, never. And so it's not like I wasn't trying to get a DUI with alcohol. I was drinking. But obviously there must not be a big problem there with the drinking if you never got a DUI with alcohol. So,
or you just didn't get caught.
Right. Well, no, I blew. It wasn't over the limit. So I was like, wow, I couldn't believe it, but it wasn't. So they were like, so that transferred into, this time it was more alcohol, because I wasn't abusing the pills. I just raised my alcohol. And so this time it was really the alcohol that I was seeing become a problem. So it was definitely, that was something new for me, that much alcohol intake. So that's when, my niece started seeing, sleeves of vodka in my refrigerator, and, the little bottles of the sleeve and things like that. So, it was just, like I said before, it was just time. It was just time this time. And she knew, and so she kind of led it and called Dallas and called Steve. And then I don't think they were fully sold that I would go. But I went pretty quick. I went with too much of a fight at all because I was, like I said, I was ready, man. So
What do you think it was? What was your reason for drinking?
to escape. I was just so depressed, man. I was depressed about my life. I think this is the main key. I was extremely lonely, man. I was lonely. And do you know how many times Marcus or Buff Bagwell has been lonely in his life? I mean, never. I mean, a woman from the time I was a kid, whether it be my mom or a wife, a woman took care of me. And I'm so thankful for that. It's not even funny, but all of a sudden, there was nobody there. And I had ran off everybody. My addiction had ran off everybody except Dallas Page and Steve Yu. And they stuck by my side through the whole thing. And so, you know, so I started isolating. You know, I got so lonely and so depressed. Then I just stayed by myself and just drank, you know. But I still was staying professional, or trying to. I would call Steve to come down to the PC center, the performance center, and do some work or do something, and he wasn't returning my calls all of a sudden because he didn't know what to say to me. He was like, Mark, I didn't know what to say to you. I knew you had screwed up. I knew you were probably drinking or drunk, and I just I didn't know what to say to you. So, you know, so I just didn't answer. And I said, I get it, man, I get it, you know. So, you know, they came down, and, you know, John is just the best thing in the world that's ever happened. And even Dallas said, man, if you did one thing right in your life, was being sweet to your niece, man, because she's wonderful. I mean, her family's wonderful. Her and her husband Chip are just phenomenal, you know, and I love them so much.
Is there a certain part of, and I think this happens to wrestlers, it certainly happens to athletes, where you had your prime and then your body says you can't do this anymore? Is there a certain part where you go, man, I want to be 1990s WCW Buff Bagwell?
You have no idea, and that was a big part of my depression too. I mean, to talk bluntly about it, I couldn't get my abs back. And I was like, I can't believe this. This is unbelievable. Medicate. And it's crazy to say that, but it is, because you don't have the tools to battle that. And this time, I was sent to a place that was literally, they give you the tools there. And they may have gave you the tools at other rehabs, but I wasn't ready, or I didn't listen.
Yeah.
Because they make you go to class at Black Bear. Black Bear Recovery makes you go.
And where is it?
It's up in like Helen, Georgia, like North Georgia,
okay,
in the mountains in North Georgia. And it's beautiful up there, and it's just, you know, you're in a log cabins and stuff, but I mean, it's rehab. I mean, there's no TVs, there's no radios. I mean, no TV in your cabin. There's one TV on the whole place. There's from 6 a.m. when you wake up till 9 o'clock at night, you are going class to class to class, and you learn, man. You learn things. And you learn things, like one thing I learned was a thing called PAWS. It's post-addiction withdrawal syndrome. And what happens with that is, it's like if you have a feeling of a withdrawal symptom, that happens a lot. It can happen for 18 months after you get clean. And it could be like, for me, my triggers and stuff of having that symptom and feeling weird is like sweating, or it's a certain kind of sweat though. It's that sweat where if somebody touches you on your back, you just like, hey man, what's up? You know, it's a different kind of sweat. You know, it's just weird, and it's a withdrawal. But it's called, you know, and it can happen for 18 months, and that kind of symptom would have led me right back to like a Xanax or something. But now they give you the tools at Black Bear to fight that off. You know, to okay, now breathe. Let's breathe it out. Let's relax. Don't let it play tricks on you. It'll go away. It will go away, and it does. And you know, and those kind of things that I would never do before, didn't know about, I knew how to fight them this time. You know, and that's why I was able to successfully complete this thing. I think.
What do you think's the biggest thing you learned about you during this process?
It's okay to be lonely. It's okay to be by yourself. It's okay to, you know, that you've got a bunch of notes that you're not marking off every day. It's okay that you didn't make it to the gym today. It's okay that you're don't got your abs back like you did when you were 25 years old. It's okay, Mark. It's okay. I learned that you didn't have to push myself as hard as I was pushing myself and setting my goals way too high. I wanted to look like Buff Bagwell in 1995 now, and it wasn't happening. It wasn't happening at all.